We're having our shifts cut back from 6 to 5, so now I will have Tuesdays off. Stan said Mr. Taggart was talking on the phone about shortages of nickel. Just had a pots and pans turn in last week, but I guess it wasn't the right sort of thing. I wish we were getting off Fridays or Mondays, but Colin said we can make Monday night pub quiz a tradition, so that's what I'm getting ready for tonight. Tessa is going to be there too. No, I still haven't asked her out. I'm working up to it. Lot more airplanes buzzing us these days. I don't know what it's about. Most of them are real high up. By the time the RAF sends up some Mirages to chase them off, they're already gone. Over the weekend, the police were collecting leaflets in the streets that I guess the Americans dropped. I grabbed one from the sidewalk, but the cop took it from me before I could really have a look and then chased me off. These days, I don't tell anyone about being from the States. Colin knows, my landlady Dora, she knows. Mr. Taggart has to know because of the work papers. You know, reading this, but I use fake names. I say I'm Canadian. I've known a couple expats who got it good when they just told anyone and everyone. I keep quiet. Besides, I'm not really an American anymore anyway. I've lived here almost 15 years, since before what happened in Chicago. I don't know what's going on over there. I don't follow the politics, and I can't just call my family and ask because the phones aren't wired up right. The war was supposed to be over a long time ago in Europe, so why is everybody so nervous? Of course, the times when I want to sleep in, I wake up at the crack of bloody dawn. If I had just stayed in bed until 11, this would all be in the past, but it's like 7:30 now, and I've been up for an hour. I tried making a pot of coffee, but the tin was just down to those wood shaving bits they put in the coffee here. I made tea, but that doesn't cut it for me. Not when my head hurts this much. It's like the whole world is throbbing. Last night was a blast. Me, Colin, Stan, and Tessa on one team, and Peter, Doug, and two guys from the front office I don't know on the other. One of them said he was an outsider, but that's okay. We smashed them, absolutely killed them, and they were good enough to buy 3 rounds, which was on top of the 4 rounds we had during. So I didn't so much ask Tessa as drag her back to my flat singing old Elton John songs. Hey, they're easy to remember. And before you post something nasty in the comments about me being a sex beast, I was a perfect gentleman, and I had already said I was taking the couch. Christ, she was drunk. Too far to walk to Shoreditch alone, and it was already past curfew. We saw a copper coming for us right as air sirens started going off. We all froze up and looked into the sky. Those big lights they test out once a month started sweeping back and forth. You couldn't see them at first, but you could hear them. This deep whoosh sound above the clouds. Then it cleared up, and there they were, hundreds upon hundreds of planes flying right over our heads. The copper told us to get inside, so we ran to my place. We were terrified of the bombs. Tessa said she remembered when she was a girl during the war on the continent, watching the bombs landing across the channel when the Americans were flying from here. She said the whole sky would turn orange from the fires. No bombs last night. No sleeping on the couch either. Tessa left after a chat and some tea. Hope to see her again tonight. All channels on the TV went to an emergency card chimes, and Prime Minister Clayton came on from an undisclosed location. Those planes early this morning bombed the outsider Canton at Crawley and landed Americans at Gatwick. Fires everywhere, and now I can hear the sirens in the streets from police. Clayton said it was unprovoked and tragic, and that King Charles is as resolute as he is in fighting back and throwing the Americans out. We will not rest until every inch of our country has been cleared of Americans. I hope that doesn't include me. Update, look, I support England 100% and the King. I will volunteer for Army if they will have me, so stop acting like I wanted this to happen. I've been glued to the telly, and I just wanted to make a post real quick to say that I am praying for the families and crews of the Ark Royal and Illustrious and all the brave men and women of the fleet. I just saw on the news, and it is a despicable tragedy. They're saying both sunk by missiles along with escorts before they could even steam out of the channel. The Americans have hundreds and hundreds of ships visible off the coast, and they won't even let the helicopters from Portsmouth rescue the survivors. I am so sorry for what my former country is doing. Update, showing a picture of one sinking. Sorry about the quality. Update 2. They're at the beaches now. Oh my god, BBC has CCTV footage of hoplites and tanks coming ashore. Update 3. Tanks on the A23 just south of Coulsdon. Guess the ones that landed at Gatwick. Update 4. Can hear more planes overhead now. Sky is full of parachutes and the guns are firing. There's one right outside my house now, some tank sort of thing with 4 guns, and it just keeps shooting up into the sky. There's something else. They bombed the TV out, but on the radio they said something else, some new thing. I don't know what it is, but they talked to a soldier who said it was big and alive and it took apart his tanks. I need to get somewhere safe. I don't know, I need to call Tessa, but the mobile networks are overloaded, and I think that they bombed the telephone exchange center. There's loud booms every few seconds. Some are far, some are so close I can feel the hot air blow in through the window. People are just standing around outside and they don't know what to do. Some people are running or getting in cars and trying to leave. Where would they go? I need to get to Shoreditch and find Tessa. Good luck to you guys. Colin, Stan, Mary, Peter, Doug, or anyone else from Federated, do not come to Shoreditch. I found Tessa. I am at her flat with her flatmates and 2 of their friends, but getting here was a nightmare. There is an evacuation point in Homerton, supposedly, so we are going to try to go there if it quiets down. I guess North is still UK, I think. It's all so confusing, and the radio keeps going out like it's being jammed. This awful tone that you can hear it without the radio, too. It hurts in your head. I saw strange things. I don't know what it was I saw. Fighting and bodies and burning houses. I knew I would see those. I was with a policeman. He was covered in blood and barely talked. We came round a corner and the Americans shot at us and he died. I ran from him all the way to Blackfriars, and there was a thing there, like a man tall as a house, with skin of black smoke and eyes swimming in his head. There were soldiers with that thing, walking along with it. That sound was really loud there, the tone. I tried to go underground, but it was full up, packed in like sardines, stinking and afraid as that thing came closer and closer. I got out just in time. There was fire and smoke everywhere. Sometimes it would be clear, and other times it would come billowing into the street, and I had to walk along with my hand on shop fronts. Bombs were still falling. I could feel them in my feet. The wind gusted and blew the smoke out of the street. I think I was in Whitechapel. There were dead Americans all over in the street, and it was quiet. It was as if wild animals or swords had sliced them to pieces. I fell in the blood and guts. It was running into the gutters. That was the only sound. In Shoreditch, the army had barricades, but the Americans and those things had killed them all. There was a naked outlander walking around, a strange look in his eye. I called out to him, but he ignored me, and then a missile came down from the sky and hit him, and he was gone. Near Tessa's flat, I came across wounded soldiers, Scotsmen, 5 of them. They asked if I knew where their unit was, and I said no. Then they asked me for cigarettes. I didn't have any, but the biggest of them turned out my pockets to be sure. He tried my mobile phone, and there was no signal, so he gave it back. Tessa and her flatmates were glad to see me, I think, but I don't know if they will all come with me to Homerton. We've got to go. There's more of those things, the giants, and they are all different and terrible. I will try to keep updating if I can. Don't go to the undergrounds, it's all dead down there, and God save the Queen. The bombing and explosions and fighting seems more distant now, to the west and in central London. I can still hear gunshots sometimes. We had a few scares, some things walking past in the street. Tessa's flatmates are scared out of their wits, but I think I've convinced them all to come with. Her roommate Carol's friend Anna speaks French, and she said French radio is reporting the Americans in Normandy. Imagine that, landing in Normandy. The Americans are on the telly now, too. Some man praying and speaking of living angels and salvation, nutters. The whole damn country is insane. They said we are being liberated. From who? We've got some food and spare clothes, bottles of water. We're going now. If you don't hear from me again, don't go to Homerton. Good luck.
Head hurts so much. Nose is bleeding everywhere. They're everywhere. Americans wearing masks. Tessa wants to go towards them. Had to hit her head and drag her into shop. Homerton lost overrun. Strange in the sky things, like a valley of light in the sky. I feel sick. That sound in my head is so loud. I'm fine. I am fine. I'm going home.